I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so it's all good.
The revolution is underway, and Sophie Cunningham is at the forefront. The calls for justice for Caitlin Clark have reached a boiling point, and now, the unthinkable is unfolding. Legal action targeting the very referees who have consistently failed to protect the league's brightest star. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's the unraveling of professional integrity, a tipping point that's forced someone to finally stand up and declare, enough is enough.
We'll take all media questions today, but we're just supposed to read from a script, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So on behalf of my teammates and every member of our union, I want to be very clear that we remain committed to negotiating the next CBA with the league and the teams in good faith and privately. But we do want to set the record straight, not for the headlines, but for the fans who support us and deserve transparency. What's at stake? This is a defining moment in the WNBA. As the league grows, it's time for the CBA that reflects our true value. We are fighting for a fair share of business that we built because it is a business. We are fighting for anything. We are not fighting for anything that's unreasonable.
In a move shaking the very foundation of the sports world, Sophie Cunningham has reportedly taken the unprecedented step of pursuing legal action against WNBA referees, a bold response to their repeated failure to protect Caitlin Clark from relentless, targeted harassment. This isn't about a single game or isolated moment. It's about a disturbing pattern of willful negligence, a system that has consistently failed the league's most valuable star while officials stand by, ignoring blatant acts of aggression.
All right, enough is enough. At some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected. And that is certainly the case with the way things around Caitlin Clark are officiated. This is a constant problem now. It is something that since the beginning, I've kind of backed off on because physical play is a part of sports. Going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. But when it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate properly. Hand out flagrants, kick people out of games, nip it in the butt.
The breaking point arrived during that fiery Tuesday night clash against the Connecticut Sun, where yet again, Caitlin Clark was treated like a human punching bag, absorbing hit after hit while the referees stood motionless, mere spectators to the chaos unfolding before them.
Got destroyed. Her girl Sophie came to her defense, and this was the most beast mode thing that I've seen a woman do in WNBA history. Now watch this, what they did to Caitlin Clark, and then we're going to play the clip of Sophie Cunningham. Roll the clip.
Is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, Marina Mabry's going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabry is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabry. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact.
JCS's Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye. Marina Mabry shoved her to the floor while she was still reeling from the pain. And somehow, unbelievably, the referees assessed Clark with a technical foul, citing unsportsmanlike conduct. Let that sink in. The player who endured multiple physical assaults was the one punished, while her aggressors walked away virtually untouched. It wasn't just a bad call. It was a complete failure of justice on live television.
Technical foul after getting poked in the eye and then shoved to the floor, and Marina Mabry doesn't even get thrown out of the game. It's basically open season on Caitlin Clark, and the special whistle that she supposedly gets goes in the other direction. Flagrantly so. They got to put it to an end. She's the most valuable player in the league in the most literal sense. And somehow she gets the opposite of superstar treatment. And that's what you saw with the Connecticut Sun and Indiana Fever. The Fever won the game. Of course they won the game. Of course they won the game.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe, because this time, everything changed. This time, Caitlin Clark had an enforcer. Someone willing to risk it all to protect her, Sophie Cunningham, who had watched the same pattern play out night after night, finally said enough. With 46 seconds left on the clock, Sheldon made a steal and raced toward what looked like an easy layup, until Cunningham stepped in and delivered a message that echoed far beyond the walls of Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
He tapped in, because Sophie Cunningham been crashed out. She been popping it, overly. They been saying she wasn't all her hair. And I knew this, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all lucky she wasn't in a game when it happened. Y'all lucky she wasn't in the game, because Marina Mabry would have got the pause for real. I ain't gonna lie. The girl, I don't even know the little girl that got in the clinch. I ain't gonna lie, she did her dirty. I was just waiting for the knees. I was waiting for the high knees. Cause they said she was a black belt. I didn't know she was a black belt, but I knew she was a popper. I knew she was with all the smoke. She ain't never dunking no smoke out.
What happened next was unlike anything the WNBA had ever seen. Within 24 hours, Sophie Cunningham's TikTok following exploded from under 400,000 to over 1.2 million. Her Instagram surged by more than 700,000. But this wasn't just support. This was celebration. Fans crowned her the enforcer. Her jerseys sold out nationwide. This wasn't just viral fame. It was a full-blown cultural flashpoint, revealing just how starved the public was for someone, anyone, to finally stand up for Caitlin Clark. And when Sophie finally stepped up to the MIC, she didn't hide behind cliches or polished PR lines. Her words cut through the usual diplomatic fluff like a knife through butter.
Are we even surprised about this? Sophie Cunningham's jersey sales just passed Caitlin Clark's after she goes viral overnight for protecting Caitlin Clark in a game where she got fined $400, which Caitlin Clark apparently is paying for. But yeah, we found our new queen at Indiana.
What makes Sophie Cunningham's legal action so groundbreaking isn't that it targets a single game or isolated moment. It's that she's calling out years of systemic failure by WNBA officials to protect the league's most valuable asset, Caitlin Clark. Clark hasn't just elevated the game. She's transformed the business of the WNBA. Indiana Fever games now draw crowds of over 15,000, more than double the 7,000 average for non-Fever matchups. On the road, her presence boosts attendance by an astounding 87%, and she accounts for 33.5% of total league attendance. The numbers don't lie. Games featuring Clark have seen a 105% spike in attendance compared to those without her. When the Fever play away, they attract 36% more fans than any other team. Teams like the Seattle Storm, Los Angeles Sparks, and Washington Mystics have all seen their home attendance more than double when Clark comes to town. But let's be real. This conversation goes beyond metrics and basketball. This is about a disturbing pattern of targeted harassment, a level of disregard that would be unimaginable in any other major professional sports league.
They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan. Watch the retaliation later by Sophie Cunningham. And again, this is inappropriate, right? No, it's what happened.
The fan response to Sophie Cunningham's stand has been nothing short of explosive. Outrage over the WNBA's failure to protect Caitlin Clark has reached a boiling point, with supporters demanding real consequences for league officials and referees. Gone are the days of accepting hollow statements and vague promises. Fans now want accountability. They want action. And they want justice for the player who, by many accounts, has single-handedly pulled the league back from the brink of irrelevance. What's especially telling is how fast the public rallied behind Cunningham. Within hours of her bold defensive stand, social media lit up with praise. Fans flooded timelines with messages of support, calling her a hero and urging other players to follow her lead. Hashtag movements backing Cunningham have drawn in hundreds of thousands, all unified by one demand: fix the WNBA's officiating crisis, or risk losing the trust of the very audience Clark helped build. Even basketball legends have spoken out. Kevin Garnett applauded Cunningham for standing up for Clark, while Chris Evert didn't mince words, calling Clark the best thing to happen to women's basketball in decades. This groundswell of support and frustration has found its focal point in Cunningham's lawsuit against the league, turning what began as one player's act of protection into a full-blown movement for reform.
WNBA refs are the worst. They really are the worst in the WNBA. Some of these women's refs, I don't know if you feel this way, Angel, but they have a long way to go.
It's been like that for a while. I don't know what it is. It's like, but they go to ref school. I don't understand.
They're going to the Phoenix University of ref schools.
They're going to DeVry.
Yeah.
The evidence of systematic targeting against Caitlin Clark is no longer up for debate. It's overwhelming and indisputable. Rebecca Lobo, who has meticulously studied film on WNBA rookies for the past 27 seasons, is unequivocal. Clark is being defended differently than any rookie in league history. This isn't speculation. This isn't bias. It's a documented pattern, backed by someone who has analyzed every rookie class the WNBA has ever seen. And that pattern is both clear and disturbing. Clark has been poked in the eye, shoved to the floor, hip-checked, and repeatedly subjected to flagrant contact. Infractions that would warrant immediate ejections if committed against any other player. Yet time and again, it's Clark who ends up with the technical foul for simply reacting to the abuse. The recent incident with J.C. Sheldon lays bare the absurdity of this treatment. Clark is poked in the eye, swarmed and pushed by multiple players, and somehow she's the one penalized for trying to stand her ground. Even the WNBA itself admitted that officials lost control of that game against the Connecticut Sun, an admission that serves as a damning indictment of the league's officiating standards. When the league openly concedes that referees failed to manage a game involving their most high-profile star, it does more than raise eyebrows. It confirms every criticism that's been hurled at the WNBA's officiating crew. And yet, in spite of that acknowledgement, no meaningful reforms have been introduced. No steps taken to protect Clark. No accountability imposed on those failing to do their jobs.